Hey, listen to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MP. As always, I'm Grady, and live on Skype we got Josh.
Hey.
This week, it is time for us to talk about the Elimination Chamber pay-per-view that happened over in Perth. I was lucky enough to be over there and to watch it live from the crowd. I don't think I'm going to be able to provide any unique insights. In fact, the way, arena seating works, you might have seen more than me, Josh. I might have seen some ants jumping on some other ants from a distance. But we talked about having a fifth match announced for the card last week, and we got it on a surprise press conference, and that is our kickoff show for the Women's Tag Team Championship. The Kabuki Warriors defended against Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell.
It was a moment to get Indy on the card. It was an alright match. Wasn't anything to write on with, but it was just a moment to get the hometown girl in front of her crowd for just a moment, and then potentially maybe on Raw start a potential heel turn among her partner. Yeah.
I think there was, obviously if Bronson Reed had different circumstances around the birth of his child as well, I imagine he would have been here. This, as you said, really was just get Indy in front of the Australian crowd. Looks like she enjoyed it for what it was, it was a short little kickoff match that didn't really have any massive consequence. But yeah, we'll have to see what happens with that team of Indy and Candice going forward. But it was good to see her get her moment at least. And of course the crowd loved her because Australian. There's a few other people throughout the show that I'll talk about the crowd reacting crazy wild for who were not Australian. One of which was in this next match, which was the Women's World Championship Elimination, number one contendership Elimination Chamber matchup. To run through it quickly, Naomi was eliminated by Tiffany Stratton. Tiffany Stratton was eliminated by Liv Morgan. Raquel Rodriguez was eliminated by Bianca Belair. Bianca Belair was eliminated by Liv Morgan. And then Liv Morgan was quickly eliminated by Becky Lynch, leading to our eventual winner, the man Becky Lynch.
First off, it's definitely Tiffy time.
Yeah.
Honestly, Tiff, I know watching her in NXT, I definitely fell in love with the character. I think she's got a ton of talent. She's excellent on the mic. She's excellent in the ring. She's young. She's beautiful. She's a beautiful woman. Let's not sugarcoat it. Maybe next year at WrestleMania 41, we have a Charlotte versus Tiffany Stratton match, and that could act as a passing of the torch.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this match was definitely all about Tiffany Stratton, and yeah, she's not Australian, but the crowd went nuts for her like she was. And boy, Liv Morgan caught it when she eliminated her too.
Yeah. I think if I had to rank everybody in this match in terms of crowd, it was just you cheer Tiffany, you boo anyone who's hurting Tiffany, and you're pretty even about everybody else, honestly. Entrances, obviously, they'll sing along to Becky and stuff, but there was nothing that could match the amount of Tiffy time. Chance, I don't know how much of it came across, but my partner went into this not really knowing who Tiffany Stratton was and came out a fan, just because of how much the crowd was behind her when it came to this match. And she had an amazing showing too, jumping off the pod and having a bunch of other cool spots. Obviously the investment wasn't entirely there. She was never going to win the match, but if the Australian crowd had their way, she would have.
Mm-hmm. Which I think is a good sign. It's very possible she could win the Money in the Bank at the pay-per-view in June. I mean, if the crowd's response to her continues like that, or even gets stronger, the sky is the limit for her.
Yeah, I think that's the big test, right? Because I've attended some Australian esports events and other live sports events there. Sometimes the crowd just does what the crowd wants to do, and they're an isolated thing. I don't know if the support behind Tiffany Stratton is going to carry or last. I hope it does. As you said earlier, I think she's a bright star coming up the ranks, and she's showing what she can do. But I think time will tell if, as 6 months, a year from now, if she's still got that momentum and she's still riding that wave. Other things to talk about in the match, I guess, Liv Morgan, who was our second pick to win, making it really close, and did actually get the elimination of Bianca Belair, so also getting a little bit of a push in this match.
That means she finished second to last in the Rumble in 2023, second to last in the Rumble in 2024, and second to last in the Elimination Chamber. She is the female Drew McIntyre. Which probably means that after WrestleMania, she's probably going to take a heel turn.
Yeah, she does have an amazing Always the Bridesmaid storyline sitting there if she does want it, or if WWE want it. Yeah, she's always on the cusp. We've seen her capture titles a couple of times, but so many times she's been fingertips away, or in this case, 6 seconds away, and all it took was Becky Lynch sliding in and picking up the win off of her.
Yeah, I do think whoever wins the match between Becky Lynch and Rhea Ripley at WrestleMania, their first opponent will be Liv. I think they've set that up pretty well.
Yeah, I think Becky Liv can work, obviously just from the dying seconds of this match, and we thought Liv Rhea could work previously. We were already talking about, the chance that Liv wins this match, and we go on to see that match at WrestleMania 40, so I think she's definitely high up the contendership card for sure. But yeah, the match we ultimately get at WrestleMania 40, Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley, as expected. I guess that could kind of be the catchphrase of this entire show, though, to be fair.
Yeah, but it's also a reminder that just because something is predictable doesn't mean it's bad.
I would much rather predictable than swerving for the sake of swerving.
Cough.
I think Becky Lynch Rhea will be an amazing match. It's obviously what they hinted towards. Same with the other Elimination Chamber match. They were pretty much by the books in terms of who won and the matches we're going to see at WrestleMania. As you say, sometimes it's about the journey. And Becky Lynch has earned her match against Rhea. Will she win? Will she not? We'll figure that out in the coming month and a bit of shows. Next up, Judgment Day. They were defending their undisputed WWE Tag Team Championships against the New Catch Republic, Pete Dunne and Tyler Bate. But the whole story of the match on this one was just Dominic Mysterio, really. He was catching everything.
Honestly, the Judgment Day, as great as it's been, I don't think it would be even close to what it is if Dominic never joined.
Mm-hmm.
Dominic has become such an amazing heel. And all he had to do was just turn on his father, which is something we begged for 2 years before it finally happened. But yeah, I think I could definitely see Dominic Mysterio as a world champion in the next year.
Mm-hmm.
It would surprise me a bit. But yeah, it's also another thing is that we have to make anytime that we have any promos or anything that deals with Rhea Ripley versus Becky, Dominic is going to be in the ring with her or in the segment because it's the only way you're going to get any heat on Rhea. People love Rhea. They don't want to boo her except because of Dominic. And that's how powerful the Dominic heat is. Yeah, honestly, this match was exactly what you'd expect. It was a good match, power match between Dunne and Tyler Bate. But in the end, this storyline for the Judgment Day, as far as the tag team goes, wasn't ever going to end here in Australia. It's probably going to end in Philadelphia. But it was just another cog in the road for Judgment Day.
Yeah, I think, again, I don't know how much came across with regards to Dom. And honestly, a lot of the chants that the Australian crowd had for Dominic, I can't repeat on the radio. We had multiple swear words thrown at him. We had him being called a word that starts with a W that's common in sports chants. There was a na-na-na-na, hey, goodbye when he was booted from the ring. There was the front row giving him the middle finger salute. It was, this entire match was just spent like, how badly can we boo Dom? Every time he'd come up on the screen, it would just get deafening in the arena. And honestly, Finn Balor, Damian Priest were afterthoughts from the Judgment Day with regards to this. But they did pick up the win. They did benefit from it. And yeah, as you say, R-Truth, Miz, whatever happens with this tag team championship, that is their future going forward. With regards to Dominic, it looks like he is seemingly getting tossed into the ring with Walter, potentially. Gunther, sorry. So maybe absolute destruction is on his front.
Possibly. I've heard the potential of maybe a multi-man match, maybe a ladder match for the Intercontinental title.
There's a lot of people that want a shot.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know quite what is going to shake up, whether we are going to get some sort of multi-man, whether we'll get a tournament for the number one contendership. But with all of our other big matches, we got both the big women's titles matches, both the men's titles, single titles matches. Now it's time to build the tag team match, time to build the mid-card title match. And I think coming out of this show, we know what one of the mid-card titles will probably be doing. And then Gunther's the big question mark, which we made the whole storyline of Raw, really. Running through that, it started with people wanting a shot, it ended with people wanting a shot. Gunther listed a bunch of people. And Jey Uso got close. Chad Gable still has unfinished business. Judgment Day want Dom. There are multiple people there. That Gunther's going to have a row of people to go up against. Then from there, we'll go into our entrance theme this week, roughly halfway through the show. And no surprise, with it being an Australian show and with everything on the show being entirely built around her, it is going to be Rhea Ripley's theme playing for you right about now. And you're back to Wrestling Roundup on FreeFM, ArrowFM, and MPR. I'm Grady, he's Josh. Let's just talk about the Rhea Ripley match. It was the main event. It went on last about 15 minutes. Women's World title on the line, and Rhea Ripley successfully defending against Nia Jax.
This was a great match. Rhea and Nia, I think, have a pretty good chemistry. They're both pretty strong women, and they brought it. This is easily Nia Jax's best match ever. Mm-hmm. Nia Jax has been knocking it out of the park ever since she returned to the WWE. And I think eventually she deserves another shot at run it with the world title. Unfortunately, it was just not to be on Saturday because we have a story that's just too important. But yeah, Rhea, that had to feel so amazing for Rhea when she came out and the crowd is going absolutely banana.
Yeah, I
Rest
think...
in peace, Pat Patterson on that one.
If there was a roof on the stadium, it would have been blown off, for sure. I think...
I thought... Yeah. Yeah, it's... And honestly... It's just these two women they tore the house down. You could make it an argument that it was the best match of the night. I'd say probably the one we'll talk about next was probably the match of the night, but you could argue that the women's world title match was that good.
I think Rhea could have wrestled a broomstick and probably the same amount of reactions from the crowd. But yeah, you could tell how much it meant to Rhea. I don't think all of it got shown. I'm not entirely sure what went out onto the broadcast. But, the post-match celebration was really long. There was celebrating with family members. There was celebrating with some of the local wrestlers, some of the people who trained her, and some of the people we watched at the local show the night before. So I could recognize. But yeah, the crowd never got quiet at all during that. I would say it's probably a solid, 15 minutes of celebration where they were just cheering, going wild. And everybody was just happy to be there. And Rhea Ripley deserved it. She was obviously very emotional throughout it, from what we could see up on the screens from our far away. But yeah, it was the good cap on the end of the night that I think everybody wanted to go home happy at the end of it all.
Australia, you did well for as a crowd. You were a very good crowd.
I'd say give us a WrestleMania, but it won't happen. Not with the time differences.
No, you're pushing it with people winning in London.
Yeah.
That's the extent of it. If it does happen outside the U.S. and not in Canada or Mexico, it'll be London.
Yeah.
But I'm fine with like minor pay-per-view views being in Australia because it doesn't really mean anything, but it'll still be a great show. Those crowds are usually pretty good with the crowd with the for those type pay-per-views. I expect to have a pretty good crowd when they do Backlash in France.
Mm-hmm.
And Lord knows if Gunther's able to go to the Berlin show, oh God, it's going to be a Rhea Ripley type of reaction.
Yeah, I think give it a couple years, 24 months-ish, and WWE's probably rolling back around for another show, I'd say. Maybe not Perth. It all depends, I guess, on the financial side. I don't know how much money this event made, the Perth area they were hoping.
My guess is that if they do another pay-per-view, and personally, I'd be fine with them doing an annual one in Australia. I think the next one would be in Sydney.
Yeah. I think you got to pick Sydney or Melbourne on that side of things, for sure.
Because there's a big opera house that they could host it in. That would be pretty dang good in visuals.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a great crowd. You deserve another show. Let's hope you get it.
And let's just talk about, I guess, before we get on to the men's chamber, there was a segment in the middle of the show as well, Grayson Waller effect, guests Cody Rhodes and Seth Rollins. I would say behind Rhea Ripley and maybe Tiffany, these two entrances got the biggest pop from everyone in attendance, even if it was me just absolutely pooping my pants when the pyro went off that I wasn't expecting. That happened a few times.
I'm gonna stay back a step from that.
Mm-hmm.
The reaction for Cody, yes.
Fair.
Seth Rollins is just a song. That's it.
Yeah. It's hard to cheer when you're singing, though.
Yeah, the crowd does not react to him.
Okay.
Think about it. During the promo, he said, "Hey, Seth, you know the Bud Light's coming. You need help? I'm your man. I'll be behind." Nothing. Nothing from the crowd. That's not a good sign. People don't react to what Seth does. They don't react to what he says. They just react to the song and his catchphrases. Those are over. He is not.
I will say this segment caused so much confusion in the crowd. I obviously can hear the chatter of the people around me. There was people confused, especially with all the Rock stuff leading up to it. They were playing Rock video packages on the pre-show to the arena, and then there were people like waiting for that moment, and then Seth's there, and they're like, okay. Oh, sorry, Austin Theory's there, and they're like, okay, maybe we'll get an impromptu tag match. And then Waller just sort of backs off and lets Austin Theory get beat up after pulling off a couple catchphrases. I don't know how it came across on TV, but the crowd definitely came across just very confused at the purpose, really.
Yeah, and that was part of it. The Cody challenged Rock, right?
Mm.
And then Seth does the whole, hey, I'll help you. That confuses the crowd. Is it going to be a singles match? Is it going to be a tag match? Do I actually want to see either of those? Is that actually what happened at WrestleMania night 1? And the whole segment, I mean, for Cody, everything worked. And honestly, I love that there might be hinting that maybe some dissension between Austin Theory and Grayson Waller. Because Grayson Waller did not help him at all.
Mm-hmm.
And Grayson Waller is a slime ball that people do not like.
Unless he's in Australia.
Yeah. And it's just one of those things where it's like, I don't think the segment worked the way they intended it to.
No.
But it is what it is. If we get a singles match between Rock and Cody, fine. If we get a tag match, fine. That means that we're going to get both world titles on night 2. Unless they make Seth wrestle 2 matches in the same night, with him losing the world title to Drew, who we'll talk about in a minute, on night 1, which I don't think I would rather do, because I think if we're going to do the tag match, I'd rather do it night 1 and then do a world title match on night 2 for Seth, because I could see maybe there's a storyline out there that could potentially derail the story.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we'll talk about it when we get to talking about Drew, because it involves Drew's match.
Well,
so let's go ahead and go to the main event.
Yeah, we only got a few minutes left, so we'll try and get through it. Bobby Lashley eliminated by Drew McIntyre, LA Knight eliminated by Drew McIntyre, Kevin Owens eliminated by Randy Orton, Logan Paul eliminated by Randy Orton, and then Randy Orton eliminated by Drew McIntyre with a bit of an assist from Logan Paul's brass knuckles, leading to Drew McIntyre taking on Seth Rollins at WrestleMania 40.
Yeah. 5 eliminations, 2 people got them all.
Yep.
This was a good match. It was a really good match. I think all 4 of them, all 6 of them, had spots and moments. Yeah, it was one of those, it was definitely the word of the day, predictable, but it works. And in the end of the day, it was the 2 people we thought had the best shot at facing Seth Rollins out of this match, ending the match. But it also, I think it created a storyline we didn't expect to come out of this picture.
No one was,
and that's Randy Orton versus Logan Paul. I think one thing that I don't like here is that it took 4 minutes from when Logan Paul got eliminated to when Randy Orton did.
Mm-hmm.
I think if you're going to do this, because you have to really suspend your belief that they wouldn't get Logan Paul out of the match after being eliminated out of the chamber for 4 minutes.
Yeah, and I think for me, I wouldn't have paired it up with the AJ Styles coming in the door either. It gave us 2 eliminations that were, I guess, due to outside or eliminated person using weapon. So it just made that LA Knight elimination and the Randy Orton elimination seem a little similar, when they were 10 minutes apart.
Yeah. I'm fine with it because it was the second one was an actual person that was in the match.
Mm-hmm.
The first one was just because we're going to be doing, surprisingly, LA Knight versus AJ Styles at WrestleMania. And once we confirmed that, then we knew Logan Paul needed somebody to face at WrestleMania. Might as well be Randy. Yeah, it's a wonderful thing. I think Randy Orton had an amazing moment with it. Anytime that he can hit random RKOs is great. And the right person won. Drew was the guy that we needed to win this match, and he went the full 36 minutes because he was the number 2 entrant. He earned it. There's no question about that. And I guess I'll throw out my idea now.
Just before you do, I just want to point out that Randy Orton was about as over as Tiffy Time. That's the other person who was non-Australian and getting those amount of cheers. All right, your idea.
Yeah. Well, that's game respecting the legend that tried to kill some legends in the past, but is now the legend himself. I think Drew definitely wins the title at WrestleMania. Whether he walks out with it is another story entirely. But I think that might create a psychological issue for our boy Seth. What if on night 2, because of the tag team match and not being on night 1, and they put the world title match at like opening night 2 during the Universal Championship match? It's Seth Rollins that cost Cody Rhodes the match, not the Bloodline. Seth Rollins.
Yeah. We can let that idea stew in the listeners' minds. I think there's a lot of cool and unique ways that WrestleMania could go. You know, we talk about Elimination Chamber, we say predictable was the word of the night. I think come April, that is not going to be the word that we're going to be using. But that is all we have time for this week. It's been great talking to you.
Maybe.
You can visit our Facebook page, facebook.com/WrestlingRND-up, or our Twitter page, twitter.com/WrestlingRND-up, or our YouTube page, youtube.com/WrestlingRND-up. And we will see you next week.